we made it. Congratulations, we made it to Friday. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Dr. Subramanian, to get us started.
Thank you. Hi, welcome everyone. Good to see everyone out there in virtual support. So excited to have Sarah come on. I just met Sarah a few months ago. We were just at an accessible yoga conference, and it was pretty, I think, eye-opening for both of us. I think we both had a long-standing interest in yoga, working with different populations, and we ended up learning a lot about other people's work, and we're truly inspired just by all of the stories in the room, people teaching yoga in all sorts of places you wouldn't even expect, prisons, foster homes, you name it, there was somebody teaching it, and migrant farm workers. I mean, such an inspirational crew. And I think one of the reasons that I love yoga for me and my own wellness and have been drawn to it over the years is the teachers and the people that are in this community of yoga. And so we had a lovely time meeting up, and we were inspired by each other's stories of our interests working at the VA as well. So Sarah is actually has a PhD in counseling psychology from the University of Iowa, and then she's currently in Long Beach at the VA, and she works in the spinal cord injury service, working with veterans who've been injured in that fashion. But I was just noting that she has a whole host of other interests that may actually be of interest to our populations. She's been interested in women's health issues, issues on positive sexual expression across the lifespan and for people with disabilities, which has been an interest, I think, in this population and a truly unmet need, I think, of our patients with Parkinson's and their caregivers. And, you know, really spent a lot of time thinking about spirituality of disabilities, disabled patients and people, and these sorts of things. And so I think we'll have her maybe teach us a little bit about how she became such a focus of her work has been on with people with disabilities as a disability affirmative approach that recognizes disability as a unique life experience similar to other aspects of cultural diversity. So thinking about this as something that brings sort of diversity in a population maybe of folks, and something that we can make a highlight and not a hindrance, I think, in our you know, day-to-day lives. Maybe you want to speak a little bit about what brought you, I think to make it easy, maybe we'll just start with what made you become a psychologist?
Wow, I wasn't prepared for that one. Well, let's see. Yeah, I think I was really interested in healthcare in general. So, you know, thought about becoming a physician, and was just actually really interested in women's health issues and kind of women's issues in general, and ended up kind of working in a healthcare setting for a while, and realized that I really enjoyed the social and sort of kind of personal and family aspects of health problems, of people's health problems. So, you know, how people's health problems affected them psychologically. And that became much more interesting to me than the physical medicine, you know, part of things. Yep. And so that's what kind of led me into psychology. So yeah, so then my focus has been, you know, kind of health psychology and psychology in medical settings. So.
And then thinking about the women's aspects, I'm not sure, how much of that are you able to pursue these days with the VA?
You know, somewhat, yeah, because the population there is mostly male, or it, you know, is skewed towards more men. But definitely, you know, it's something that, you know, when we have female patients, female veterans, we know that there are unique issues that can be important for those folks. And so we really want to make sure that we're addressing those needs in a very individualized way.
Sounds good. And then teach us a little bit about what drew you to yoga. When did that enter your life and got you interested?
Yeah, so I probably first took a class in college just because I was curious about it, and didn't really actually get serious about doing that practice regularly for myself until I became a mom, and was kind of looking for, you know, other things to just do for myself. And at the time I lived in an apartment building where they actually offered a free yoga class. And so I went to the class, and it turns out most weeks I was the only one there. So it was very individualized.
Oh, wow.
I learned a lot about kind of what yoga is and that kind of thing. But then became more interested in it in recent years, working with the population that I work with, people with paralysis and, other mobility issues. And just as a psychologist, really interested in that mind-body connection. And, how is that different for people who can't feel or move certain parts of their body, or may have kind of a negative relationship with their bodies, right? Because of chronic pain or other things that are going on. And so, how could yoga really enhance that, or kind of assist with people having a better relationship with their bodies?
That's really interesting. And then at the VA, what settings are you actually teaching yoga in these days?
Just in spinal cord injury. Yeah.
Is it a group class, or are you doing one-on-one teaching?
I do group classes. So yeah, I do a class with just a few people with assistance from occupational therapy and physical therapy. So we're actually using like a lift to get people down onto thick therapy mats so that it's really a full body experience for that yoga. And then, kind of physically assisting folks into certain poses, or giving, kind of light assistance in certain poses. And then I also do a chair class that's just with me, so I can do that independently. And it's, I think we were talking about kind of community, and, that tends to be a really nice aspect of those classes, because you kind of have that shared community.
That sounds really good. And has the VA been, in your sort of experience, pretty open to the yoga situation?
Definitely, yeah. So I think healthcare in general has been a lot more open to incorporating yoga, over the past several years, if not more, because there is actually a lot of research on health outcomes for yoga. So, there are sort of physical medicine outcomes that have been associated with yoga practice, as well as psychological. So I actually had a couple things pulled up here. So, there's been research on improvements in blood glucose, lipids, so like cholesterol, fatigue, and sleep disturbance. And then in terms of mental health outcomes, it's been associated with improvements in depression, anxiety, kind of overall stress, and quality of life, which is, I think in most healthcare settings, they're not really open to incorporating those things unless there's some hard evidence.
Yep.
To support that. So yeah, actually there's at our VA, there's yoga going on in primary care, women's health, PTSD, and spinal cord injury.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I've worked in a few settings as well, and I found the VA to be actually quite open-minded, interestingly enough. And a lot of our veterans are very open-minded to it as well. So I think,
Definitely.
For the folks that are out there in support group land, I think give it a try. I think the sense of yoga being just for super flexible ballerinas has really been hopefully, taken out of your mind. And, just in the accessible yoga training that Sarah and I did, we were, the teacher made us do a few exercises in which we were supposed to break out into groups, and then gave us really challenging kind of things, like you're teaching yoga to a group of pregnant women in a space that doesn't have any mats, it's only chairs, and you have these other problems, this is a community center, or just kept throwing things at us. Now you're trying to deal with this patient population, and now you've been moved to a different format in a park with no equipment, so I think the sense that I have of yoga, and we'll kind of break this down a little bit more through the practice, is that yoga, as I think we have commercialized in this country, is thought to be about cute yoga clothes and fancy yoga mats, and really flexible young people who are taking photos in these things. But yoga as a practice, and what drew me to this, is that it's modifiable. It's something that you can do anywhere. and really has, you know, three main components, right? It's like the mind and the sort of meditation aspects, the breath work, which we'll do a practice today due to popular demand of our group after some of the lectures that we've had, and then the asana, so the poses and moving the body. And it's really the sort of unity of all of those things that incorporate these three elements, at least three basic elements, and there's probably more, into, you know, sort of something that you can bring into your life and almost practice as part of your life. And so I think, you know, when we think about medicalizing it, we talk about the, you know, we have had some physical therapists on this group so far, and they've really talked about, you know, being able to cater to Parkinson's patients, and the things that people want to be practicing with this sort of disease include stretching because of the tightness and stiffness in our muscles, and yoga has that, the cardiac aspects. And if you flow into yoga and you move, you know, at a pace, you can really get your heart rate up in many settings. And then the mind-body connection is very important. And so the sort of meditative aspects. And then we've also learned in the last few weeks about the powerful effects of exercise on mental state and mood. And also, I mean, I think yoga definitely can affect that, and certainly echo the depression as a big thing that can be helped by yoga. Sleep's been shown to be helped. Pain of many sorts has been shown to be helped, you know, in research studies. And so I think we're much more open to using some of these things. So without further ado, maybe I'll let you teach us a little bit. Sarah, I don't know what you wanted to start with. I know you have a wealth of experience, and I know that you really have some practices, as you were saying, that get people in touch with their own bodies to feel comfortable. So maybe I'll let you kind of introduce this and then teach us.
Sounds great. Yeah, I wanted to mention one other thing about yoga, and I like your explanation of kind of those core components of yoga. One question that often comes up is yoga a religious practice? And the answer is no. Some people feel like, oh, you know, if they are aligned with a certain religious denomination or faith practice, doing yoga is somehow contrary to that. And so in itself, it's not a religious practice, although if you are a religious or spiritual person, it can take on that component for you based on your own personal beliefs. So I just wanted to mention that too. And then just kind of thinking about what is accessible yoga, right? So I did want to give a shout out to Mind Body Solutions, which is where I did my original adaptive yoga training. And so they are a nonprofit organization in Minnesota, and they provide services for veterans, for community members, you know, people with various health conditions and disabilities, even like end of life. They have a special sort of end of life yoga program as well. And they're just amazing people. And they just created a new, I can give you the information later, but a new YouTube channel called The Hub. And so, you know, a lot of their work goes towards that. And they actually have like online, you know, just videos of adaptive classes that you can watch. And then also kind of really interesting lectures about disability and, you know, kind of health and wellness with that yoga philosophy. So,
and I think the folks have already typed them in, and they're in the chat box, but we'll definitely put a link. We always link everything at the end as well. So we'll have some information to share at the end as well, when we put up this video.
Great, yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, accessible yoga is basically, you know, it's yoga, right? But we're really more focused on the internal experience of a pose as opposed to how it looks on the outside. So, you know, everybody has seen pictures of this ridiculously complicated yoga pose. And my first question is, why would you even want to be in that pose? Because it looks really uncomfortable. So, you know, and the other thing is, you know, it can be dangerous to do certain yoga poses. So we're really focused on increasing that body awareness and how do you feel when your body is in a certain pose, and really taking the time being slow about your awareness and kind of experiencing that pose, and really, you know, kind of living in your whole body, right? So that's kind of the other idea. So, all right, I'm gonna move this out so you guys can see. a little better. Does that look like
Yeah.
everything? All right. So we're just gonna start with some centering breathing, but I want to just kind of set things up a little bit. So make sure you have a good stable chair that you're sitting in. So ideally not something with wheels, right? You don't have to take your shoes off, but if you choose to, and it's easy to do that, you're welcome to do that. And just make sure you're kind of stable in that chair, relaxing back into the back of the chair. And just to kind of give a reminder to folks, if you don't want to do some of the movements, you're welcome to not do that. Please trust your body. So I don't know your body, you know it better than anybody. So if something feels unsafe or not something that you would be comfortable doing, please don't. Yoga is meant to be a system to alleviate suffering, not to cause pain or discomfort. So just pay attention. So we'll do a little bit of breath work, and then we'll move it into some gentle movements. You shouldn't break a sweat. And then if we have time, we'll end with a brief meditation. So again, just get comfortable. And if you can, if it's comfortable, keep your legs uncrossed, arms uncrossed, just a relaxed stance on your lap. And we're just going to start by settling into the chair, wiggle things out if you need to. And if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, please do that. If you don't, just kind of keep them at a soft gaze at a point in front of you. And we're just going to start by bringing attention to the breath. Not something we do on a regular basis, but in this moment, just start noticing where you're feeling your breath in your body. Maybe you're feeling it more in your chest. Maybe you're feeling it all the way down to your abdomen. Notice the coolness of the air as you're breathing in through your nose. And slightly warmer air as you breathe out. And if you're noticing distracting thoughts or distracting noises, just notice and bring your attention gently back to your breath. And as you exhale, just allow your shoulders to relax and soften. And find yourself sinking deeper into the support of the chair beneath you. Noticing where your body makes contact with the chair. Noticing that support. And then for the next 2 breaths or so, we're going to start lengthening our exhale. So what I'd like you to do is breathe in and count your breath as you breathe in. And then as you breathe out, allow that breath to last maybe 2 or 3 more counts. So it's the same amount of breath leaving your body, but you're just taking our time with it. Just slowing down that exhale. And then let your breath come back to its natural rhythm, not changing it any longer. And then bring your attention to the crown of your head. And I'd like you to imagine yourself or another person just resting a hand gently on the top of your head. Notice those muscles relaxing and softening. And then moving down to your forehead, feeling the skin of your forehead smoothing, relaxing. Allowing your eyelids to feel warm and heavy. letting your cheeks soften and relax, and letting your tongue rest gently at the bottom of your mouth. And just notice that sense of calm and relaxation. And then take a nice, deep, cleansing breath in and let it out with a gentle sigh. One more breath in. And then one last breath. And then gently start noticing the sounds around you. And let your eyes gently flutter open. All right. So I wanted to start doing some gentle movements. Anything that we'd like to talk about before then?
No, I think we can go ahead. And then we'll try a breath practice at some point too. Whichever. So if you want to do the
Yeah.
breath before or after, whatever makes sense.
So actually that is what I was going to start with. So more of a, we'll do some movement, but this is more of like an alert breath practice. So the first one was kind of like centering, and hopefully you're all feeling a little more relaxed and kind of centered. So Dr. Subramanian and I had communicated a little bit about the speaker that was on Wednesday, talking about anxiety and how that kind of plays out in the body. So I chose a few different breath exercises that are more targeting of anxiety, and I've been trying to think about those more myself these days because there's a lot of things that are contributing to anxiety right now. And sometimes you just feel it in the body, right? Like it's not even an anxious thought or worry that you're having, but you're just feeling that on edge feeling. So the first one I wanted to teach is something called lion's breath. And it can feel like kind of a silly practice, and you might not want to do it when other people are around. But my understanding of it is that it is something that is kind of like a reset button for your body, for your physiology. So I will demonstrate it, and then you can try it along with me. So we're going to act like a lion. So basically you take a nice deep breath in through the nose, and then breathing out, you're sticking your tongue out. You're almost kind of doing a roar, but it's more your breath coming out. So just a couple things before you try it. So I never do this more than 3 breaths at a time, because it can make you feel kind of lightheaded. So if you do it once and you're feeling kind of woozy, just end at 1 breath. And yeah, I guess that's the main thing. And also, obviously if you feel sort of awkward doing it around somebody else, if you feel like you need to do it during your day, you're feeling anxious, go into the bathroom, go into a corner somewhere, or do it with somebody that likes to be silly with you. All right, so we're going to try it here. So deep breath in. And then let's try one more if you're up for it. Okay, so that is lion's breath. Kind of fun. And the one thing I wanted to say about how we breathe as well. So I had one teacher in my yoga teacher training that said something that always stuck with me. So she said, the nose is for breathing and the mouth is for eating. So why is that? Of course, if your nose is stopped up, you have a horrible cold, you got to breathe through your mouth. But the nose actually does this wonderful job of filtering the air coming into your body, and it also warms up the air, so it's more palatable for your body. So if you can, and especially if you're doing yoga, make sure you're breathing in through your nose. And sometimes, we sigh, and so you breathe out through the mouth. That's perfectly fine. And also, you've been breathing your whole life, so you're still alive. You didn't do it wrong, right? But just kind of thinking about, as you breathe in, it's better to breathe in through your nose. All right, so the other one I wanted to teach is just basic belly breathing. And this is actually much easier to feel if you're lying down, but most of us are sitting right now. That's perfectly fine. So what I'd like you to do is put one hand on your belly, on your abdomen, and one hand on your chest. And just a note about physical touch. So when I put my hand here and my hand here, I immediately felt more relaxed. So I think we oftentimes undervalue the the sort of healing and calming aspect of touch. So that's just another thing to think about in terms of anxiety and how we're calming ourselves on a regular basis. So when we breathe, just to let your breath come naturally right now for a few breaths, and notice where you're feeling your breath. So I'm a little bit on the anxious side right now because I'm on this call and teaching everybody, and I can't see all of you in your homes. It's much nicer when we have a big group of people I can see all at once. So I'm breathing more in my chest right now. So if you kind of take notice on a regular basis, you may notice that especially when you're rushed, you're doing a lot more of that shallow chest breathing. So when we take a deep breath and it makes it all the way down so that you can feel your abdomen rise, that actually does a lot of things for the body that are wonderful. So it helps us receive more oxygen. So when we're breathing all the way in, it's actually filling up the lungs to their fuller capacity. So we're actually getting more oxygen out of that breath than the shallow chest breathing. The other thing is that if you're actually breathing all the way in, filling up your lungs, it actually massages the heart and some of your internal organs. So when you spend a lot of your day doing that shallow chest breathing, you're not getting the full benefit of your breath. And our bodies were meant to breathe, right? So if you're feeling anxious, right, a lot of the time, you may be just having that shallow chest breathing. The other thing when you're getting that full oxygenation is that it actually kind of provides more mental clarity. You may be able to concentrate more. You may have more energy. Makes sense, right? You're getting more oxygen. More oxygen is good. All right. So what we're going to do is just start breathing in and start sort of sending the breath to the chest, and then see if you can send it on its way to the belly. Feel that belly rise. And then on your exhale, feeling that belly contract, feeling that breath leave the chest, and then in reverse. So we're just going to try that for a few breaths. In, moving through chest and belly, and then exhale. And this is going to be at your pace, all right? So I'm not going to actually count or lead you through that. It's going to be at your own pace, but see if you can kind of visually follow that path, moving from chest to belly, pushing the belly out, and then in reverse. And just notice what you're feeling. All right. And then you can go ahead and let your hands relax and just let your breath return to its natural pace. So I'm going to do another breath exercise after we've done a little movement, but I didn't want to do too many in a row because, as I said, I don't want people to start feeling that wooziness. So we'll do another one later. So anything else that we want to talk about before we move to some body movement?
So I noticed that you had posted, Sarah, that there was some grounding stuff as well. You had talked about just putting your hand on your belly, but I noticed that you were doing some things on a mat with maybe putting some other sorts of weighted thing. Could you tell us maybe a minute of, or 30 seconds of that, just to talk, and maybe even talk about grounding in general, because I think it might be helpful for people to understand when we're talking about grounding, what it actually means.
Yeah. I don't know if I have a good explanation of grounding. One of the things that is talked about in terms of that word is the fact that we spend most of our lives not connected to the earth. So we have all these barriers that are between us and the earth. And, in caveman times, right, people walked around without shoes, connected directly to the earth, and our energy was different. So, so grounding exercises are sort of meant to help our energy flow. And here's my grounding example.
Wow, that was on clockwork right there.
Perfect. Okay. So one thing you can do, and I think it's better when you're laying down, is putting something heavy but yet relaxing on your belly. So it could be a cat. I have a cat who, as soon as I walk to bed, he'll come lay right here, like this direction. And I'll be reading my book, and this cat is just like on me, right? And it feels so relaxing. And again, it's this physiological response. So, something like a rolled up blanket, or I have these sandbags that are filled with rice. You can put that on your abdomen. And obviously, if it's causing you pain, not something you would want to do. But it like I said, it's sort of this physiological reset. So I'm trying to think what other things you could use. But basically anything that's at your disposal, like a big pillow you could put there. So on the abdomen, sitting down in a chair, you could put something lengthwise on your legs. That can be relaxing. Some people, when they're sitting, they'll put sandbags on their feet. So that kind of acts as a grounding mechanism. And I'm just feeling so much more relaxed right now.
Somebody asked about weighted blankets. I don't know, you had mentioned just the blanket, and I know in yoga we sometimes will roll up these. They're not like super light, they're not exactly sheets, they're kind of these blankets that do have a weight. So I think if you have something that but again, we talked about safety with Parkinson's. You don't want to put something so heavy on you that if you get up to walk or have to use the bathroom quickly or something, that you're going to trip on it. So always be a little bit gentle. Mikhail wrote, I have a microwavable rice pack I use for my neck when it gets sore. I will try them on my chest. Yeah, you can definitely use those. I think some of them are filled with buckwheat or like some sort of grain, so that they, and then sometimes they put a bit of aromatherapy sort of stuff in there, like a lavender or something. So yeah, that might be something to try as well. I think it's just, again, reconnecting with the earth is sort of my sense of the word. And, sometimes just, we kind of can be all flustered and feeling like up here a little bit in our heads. And sometimes just sort of thinking about sitting down for a minute or lying down for a minute. And Becky Farley, who is our physical therapist, had also talked about, being connected with the ground. She did a lot of her exercises just on a yoga mat, and said it's just sometimes good to be sitting down or lying down, because we don't necessarily, we spend so much time typing and hunched over or looking at a screen, many of us, that we lose a lot of the ability to expand our rib cage and our shoulders back. And just to echo your breath work, so much of that deep breathing actually opens up areas in our lungs that we don't often even use. And if you get too much compression in some of those areas, you can actually get loss of volume and sometimes even sick from this sort of loss of volume. So a lot of our patients, if they get too hunched over and we don't try to open up this space and then deep breathe, we can kind of be at risk for certain things from happening that way. So, which is why we try to get people standing or at least sitting if they're not feeling so well in the hospital while they're lying down in bed and things. So, great. Well, let's move a little bit then.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna kick the cat off. Yeah, and I was gonna say too, with the weighted blanket idea, or having any weight on you, For some people with a history of trauma, anything that makes you feel more confined might be triggering. It might not be if it's something that you're choosing to do for your wellness. So just another consideration with that. All right, so we're just going to start with some gentle neck movements. So a lot of yoga movement pairs the breath with movement. So for some of the poses, I'll direct your breath in a certain way. So we're going to start just kind of at neutral here and just rest your hands comfortably on your lap. And we're going to take a breath in as we bring the head up, gaze at the ceiling just to your comfort, to your limit. And then exhale, bringing the head back down, tucking the chin to the chest. And then inhale up. Find your own limit with that. And exhale back down. And one more at your own pace. And most of our movements in yoga are slow, and that's for a reason. So come back to neutral here. So especially within, adaptive yoga, we want people to feel more connected to their bodies. Also notice, areas of their body where they might be feeling more tension or pain, or not doing a quick jerky movement because you could further injure yourself or cause more pain. So we really just want people to have, that awareness. All right, so again, starting from neutral here, take an inhale. And then slowly exhale, turn the head to the right. Again, to your limit. And inhale back to center. Exhale slowly to the left. Inhale back to center. And let's do one more time each side. Inhale back to center. And then exhaling to the left. And back to center. All right. And then let's start with just a little rhythm in the torso. So again, just resting your hands, but kind of anchoring if you need to. We're just going to start with some gentle movement of the torso. So whatever way your body wants to move right now, maybe it's just kind of a sway, maybe it's moving a little diagonally. Maybe it's real small movements, maybe it's kind of larger ones if you're feeling, oh my gosh, I really need a stretch over here. And then we're going to slowly come into rolls. So we're going to inhale, moving forward. And then exhale when you get to the back. Inhale forward, and just like with the sway, it can be a really large circumference circle. Maybe it's a smaller one, just whatever your body's feeling. And then pause and reverse direction. And I just remembered that some people are calling in, so I'm going to be mindful of how I'm describing things here so people can move along. And then start to slow down that circle and gently come to rest. All right. So now we're going to take the knees a little wider stance. And we're going to take the arms out to the sides. And this is kind of like our opening pose. So you might take your arms out to a T. They might be more at an angle downward. They might be all the way up, kind of going to the corners of your room. And so I like to, and you can lean up against your chair for stability, so lean backwards. So this is just kind of a nice opening pose, and I call this one Here I Am World. So it's kind of this feeling of expansion, this feeling of taking up space, and noticing that openness in the chest. And if your arms are starting to get tired, just bring them downward, bring them to your legs, whatever you need to do, listen to your body. But just taking a couple of breaths here. Really expanding that chest as you breathe in. Really feeling your lungs fill up. Taking your arms back, sort of behind that midline if that's comfortable. And then exhale, slowly bringing the arms back down and then bringing those knees back together. Okay, so we've got a little stretch here. All right, so for a moment, just take one hand and bring the palm up to your forehead. So this is another kind of calming reset movement. Seems really simple, but again, it's that, that aspect of touch. So that can be kind of nice if you're just feeling overwhelmed, just put your hand up. All right, bringing that hand back down. Okay. And then we're gonna take the arms out to the sides, kind of like a cactus. So they're at right angles. This also looks kind of like goalposts, all right? So this is gonna have a little flow to it. So we're gonna inhale here, and then exhale, bringing the palms together and kind of tucking your chin down to your chest. And then inhale, opening up again, bringing your arms out wide with that goalpost. And then exhale, palms together, arms together. And we're just gonna do this for, I don't know, a few breaths, just taking it at your pace. So when you're opening those arms, you've got that chest expansion. You've got a little back bend happening. And then when you're bringing the palms together, you've got that forward fold with the spine. So we're really moving a lot of different muscles here. But again, we're keeping it slow and pay attention to what your body's feeling. And then one more time, palms together, and bring your palms to rest against your chest. And just let out that breath. And then palms back down to your legs. Great. Okay, let's do both arms down to the sides. Okay, just resting down and kind of shake them out. Shake them out for a minute. And then we're going to take a nice inhale, bring both arms all the way up so they're above your head, palms touching. And then we're going to move over to the right. So we're doing a little bend over to the right. Inhale back up to center. Exhale, move to the left. Kind of like you're a ballerina. Inhale up. See, we did get some ballerina movement. Exhale to the right. Feeling that openness on your side. Inhale back up. One more time to the left. Feel that stretch in your side. Inhale up to center. And then bringing the palms back to your chest level. Perfect. All right, let those arms come down. Okay. And then for this one, what we're going to do is anchor the left hand on the side of your chair. So if there's no place for you to grab onto, you could put your hand underneath your leg to kind of anchor it. And then the right arm is relaxed at your side. So we're going to inhale, bring that arm all the way up so it's pointing towards the ceiling. And then exhale, slowly back down, really taking your time, noticing what that feels like. Inhale up again. And pause at the center. Exhale, slowly back down. So this time when we inhale and bring that right arm up, I want you to look at that right hand. So we're going to take our gaze to that hand, pause here at center, and then we're actually going to keep going with that right arm. So you're making a little arc towards the left. And I want you to breathe here. Really notice that side body, the right side of your chest, feeling open. And then inhale up to center and slowly exhale, let that right arm come down. Beautiful. All right, so we're going to anchor the right hand now. Let the left hand relax at the side. And inhale slowly up. And same thing, we're just pausing at the center and exhale back down. Beautiful. And then inhale up. And maybe noticing if this left side feels different than the right side. Exhale back down. Maybe have more tightness in one side compared to the other. Just something to notice. Inhale up, this time looking at your hand as you're raising it up. If that's uncomfortable, just keep your head relaxed. Pause here, and then keep going with that left arm. A little arc towards the right, really noticing that expansion on your left side, sending breath to that area. And then inhale back up, pause briefly, and then exhale all the way down with that left arm. Perfect. All right, I'm looking at our time. I'd like to do one more because I want to have time for our other breathing exercise and then also time for questions. So I want to see what's really going to give us the best thing here. We haven't done much with the legs, so let's do that. So we're going to bring the right knee up to your chest. So you may put your hands underneath your leg to bring it up, or just kind of hugging it up to your body. So as you're doing this, I want you to relax your shoulders. Bring your shoulders back, shoulder blades together. And breathe here. And then exhale, release that leg. And then we're actually going to bring this leg up, crossing it over your left. And we're going to press the knee away from you. So we're getting a little stretch there for those hip muscles. You might do a little kind of back and forth press. And then we're going to bring that knee towards the body. Just kind of hug that knee, but as that leg is crossed, notice where you're feeling that stretch. And then gently release, and then we're going to take that leg back down. So let's try the other side. So first we're going to bring the left knee towards the body, hugging it towards the body, and then bring attention to the shoulders. Let those shoulder blades come together, and take a breath here. And then release that leg, and we're going to bring it crossing over the right. And then we're first going to bring that left knee towards the body. And, obviously to your limit. So if you're feeling like that stretches too much. And then we're going to press it away. I think I did that in the opposite order, but it doesn't matter. We're at least doing both sides. All right. And then we're going to release that leg back down. All right, so let's do this other breath exercise because I think this one's kind of interesting and ties in, I think, to the speaker that you guys had on Wednesday. So this is something called alternate nostril breathing. And in traditional yoga, what you would do is actually block one nostril, breathe in, breathe out, and then you're blocking the other one. I've always found that uncomfortable. And a lot of the folks I work with may not have adequate hand functioning to do that or do it comfortably or for any length of time. So when we were at this yoga training in Santa Barbara, we learned about a different adapted way of doing this. And it's basically drawing your attention to each side of your breathing. And this type of breath exercise is supposed to be good for kind of clearing the pathways of energy in your body and also balancing the hemispheres within your body. So what I'm going to have people do is actually make a fist with both hands. And I'm going to ask you to draw your attention from one nostril to the other. So you're actually not blocking your nostril. So you're going to breathe in through the right and squeeze your right hand. And exhale through the right. And then inhale through the left, squeezing that left hand. And exhaling through the left. So we're basically just bringing the attention to the right side, breathing. And then the left side, breathing. Let's try that for just a couple more breaths. All right, and then let's come back to neutral. So kind of an interesting topic or way of breathing, but it's really getting at your attention and how you are placing your attention. So I think that one can be interesting. I definitely feel different after I've done that for 10 breaths. It feels different in my body somehow. So you might want to experiment with that. So I know we're kind of running short on time. So
I think we're doing pretty well. We've taken questions kind of as we've gone a little bit. So I wanted to see, maybe, Sarah, you could do a twisting exercise or two, because I think a lot of our patients have sometimes asymmetry and then get very rigid in their spine. So maybe from the chair we could do some twisting, and I'll let you know. We'll give you like a minute maybe of inspiration, and if there's any questions, I'll interrupt you. But I think we're good. I think people want to do more practice, I think.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so one of the easiest ones that I like to do is just arms at your sides, and inhale. We bring the arms up, and you can touch or just have them kind of parallel. And then on your exhale, we're just going to move the arms to the right, and take a breath here. And then inhale back to center, and exhale to the left. And take a breath here. Just notice how that feels. And then inhale back to center, and let the arms come down. So what I was taught about twists is that they can be especially good for digestion, which I understand can be an issue for a lot of folks with Parkinson's. And how it was explained to me is that when you twist your body, it's kind of like you're squeezing a sponge. And then when you come out of that twist, it's like this fresh supply of blood coming in. And like, that sounds great, right? That sounds very cleansing. So, so the other one that I like to do from a chair is taking your right hand, placing it on your left knee. So we're doing it across the body. And then extending that left arm. And we're going to inhale here, shoulders back. And then on your exhale, we're going to sweep that hand behind the body and find a way to kind of grab onto the back of your chair, or just touch the back of your chair. And we're just going to hold this for a couple of breaths. If it gets uncomfortable, just come on out of that twist. And make sure you're breathing, not holding your breath. And then inhale, slowly unwind and come back to center. All right, and then we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to take left hand onto right knee and extending the right hand, and take an inhale here, and exhale, slowly sweeping that arm back, curling it around the back of your chair. And if you want, as kind of another option, you can look towards the back. So that puts a little more of a stretch into that twist. And we'll hold this for a couple of breaths, but keep breathing. Notice where you're feeling that tension. And then exhale, slowly unwind and bring the hands back and just relax back into your chair. Maybe just shake it out a little bit. So the other thing that can be good actually for kind of a twist or digestion is a fold over the body. So if you're feeling like this is safe for you, some people with blood pressure issues may not want to put the head down below the heart. So do what's best for you. So arms to the sides, and then we're going to inhale, bring both arms up slowly. And then exhale, we're just going to fold over the body like you're folding over your lap. Maybe your hands reach down to the floor. Maybe your hands land on your legs. Wherever they land is perfect. And just take a couple of breaths here. And then to come out of this one, I like to put both hands on the knees and press yourself up gently. So that gives a little more support as you're coming up. So again, that's something that kind of squeezes the internal organs, giving them a little massage, and then that fresh supply of blood coming in.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I think you taught pretty much largely from the chair. I think this will be on video archive. So if people want to try to modify, pretty much everything you taught can be modified into standing as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always amazed as somebody who enjoys all kinds of practice of yoga that from the chair you can get such range of motion in your spine and in these joints that you didn't realize you were carrying tension around in, and it just feels good to stretch. So I think even sitting at your desk, or on a plane, I guess, when we start traveling again, you can kind of get some of this just even from the comfort of your own chair, which I think is so beautiful. You can kind of take it with you anywhere. So somebody wrote, when I logged on, I was having pain in my middle back. This was Judy. Feels much better now.
Awesome.
So that's all really good. So I'm going to give you a minute to sort of say something kind of to close, if that's okay. And maybe set an intention for the rest of the day or whatever.
Yeah, so let's actually get back into kind of meditation mode just for maybe a minute, and then I'll say a couple things. So if you feel comfortable closing your eyes again, that's great. And just take a relaxed stance in your chair. And take a moment to just listen to your body hum in this moment in whatever way that makes sense for you. Just notice what you're experiencing in your body. And if you can, notice that experience without judgment. So if you're feeling pain or tension or something you don't like, just notice and say, oh, okay. And just letting your breath come naturally. And then you can bring your palms up to your heart or put your palms together, resting on your chest. And just extend gratitude to yourself for doing something relaxing and peaceful and centering for your body and for your being. And know that these practices are available to you anytime. Even if you do one for 30 seconds, that is something that's valuable for your body. In most yoga classes, we end with the word namaste. It's used a lot in our popular culture, but my understanding of that word, the meaning of that word is the light in me sees and honors the light in you. So I say namaste to all of you today.
So beautiful. Namaste. Thank you so much, Sarah. Your work is so amazing, and you bring inspiration to all of us with taking care of those vets that have been injured over there. And just lovely energy you have. So thank you for coming and hanging out with us today, and sending hope and peace and joy to all of you back outside there. Namaste. You're getting a lot of namastes in the message here. Yes, and people are asking if it'll be on YouTube, and it will. So anyway, thanks again. And I'll send it back to you, Rebecca, to close. And just so happy that we could share some yoga with you. And we'll continue to do this if it's something that the group's interested in seeing more of.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Subramanian. Thank you so much, Sarah. This was wonderful. I feel this is what a wonderful end to the week, right? To be able to be all together and to be able to practice together. So thank you both. Just very quickly, we do have programs continuing into May. It is May 1st, and we still have a very packed schedule for you. So we do have on Monday, Sarah Ingersoll is going to be on, and she's talking about the mind-body problem, which she's lovely. I am so excited for her. So hopefully you'll join us. It'll be at 12 p.m. Just like this one was today. And then actually Friday, to end our week, we will be having, oh my gosh, we'll be having Dance for PD. It's David Leventhal. I couldn't remember his name for a minute. Yes. So David Leventhal, who's the founder of Dance for PD, he is also wonderful, and we're really, really excited to have him as well. And that will be at noon. So please join us. We have on our website all of our programs listed, and this will, with our, like Dr. Subramanian said, with any resources will be listed as well. So before we end, I know it's a couple minutes past, but we want to do our wave to everyone. So if you have your camera on or can turn it on, have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Mm-hmm.